get a motion to approve the work session agenda, including the changes on page 3 to the agenda.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, that passes 4-0. All right. First items of discussion is, we're not going to take any action on, but we have the Convention and Visitor Bureau. I think Kelly Seifert has the presentation.
Thank you. Yeah, Donna Carpenter
Oh,
is
there
going
she is.
to do our presentation. We did meet with the CVB staff out at the site, and she will tell you what the grand plan is.
Yes, so good afternoon. Thank you for having me. So I get the amazing opportunity to give you all an update on a proposed project. Keep in mind, this is in the very, very infancy stage. Don't know if it's even a viable project yet. So the CVB Board of Directors has given us direction to do our due diligence and move forward with the information that we currently have. I have given that to you, and
I guess I need to.
I have provided that to you, and what is in that packet is just different cross-country courses, and the one that is the most popular one, I think, is the very first one in Tallahassee. And so we embarked on this process. I'll start from the very beginning, which is not very long ago. But after building the turf fields and the Mondo facility at J.M. Robinson High School, they have been very, very successful with those partnerships that we have had with the county and the school district. And we started doing okay, that's all done. Now, what's next? What are we going to do next? And looking at cross-country, this is something that's kind of been in the back of our head. We have, as you all probably know, UNC Charlotte uses Frank List Park as their home course, and I use the word course very loosely. There are challenges with that property and the course that's currently there because athletes have to cross over the very busy entrance road in order to compete. It is also very narrow, so it's not the perfect thing. It's good enough that they can do what they need to on it, but how do we make that bigger and better, not just for UNC Charlotte, but for the CVB to be able to recruit other meets of large caliber that you can see in the back of that packet. We have potential pieces of business that the CVB can go after and bring those here, and the estimated economic impact of each one of those events that it would have on the community. As you all know, and I have to say it every single time, a project like this would not be funded by local tax dollars, but by visitor tax dollars. And also the CVB is a nonprofit organization, so in our legislation, we cannot borrow money. So that's where the partnership with the county would come into play. Very similar to the turf field projects that we did at the high schools. The county actually borrowed the money, and then the money was paid back via the Sports Development Fund that the county maintains 5% of occupancy tax, and it would be paid back via that avenue. So no local tax dollars would be spent on this. It would be purely visitor tax dollars. We are planning a site visit to the Tallahassee site, and at our last CVB board meeting, the board voted that we did not want to put any kind of undue burden on the county to travel to Tallahassee for a site visit, so we would like to offer the opportunity for 2 members from the county, whether that be with Parks and Rec or one of our 2 board members that are seated here, to join us at a site visit, and the CVB would pay for that. All the travel and everything that is that would be involved with that. We don't know if it'll be a day trip or if it would be an overnight trip. We're not sure. We haven't gotten that far yet, but that's where we are. And I just wanted to just bring this to your attention. I know we haven't officially talked about it in public yet. This is all very contingent on several things. One thing that would kill the project is if the second entrance to the park does not happen. So that second entrance has to happen before this project could even be thought about. The second thing is the partnership with UNC Charlotte. While it may not be monetary, their engineering department, their civil engineering department has talked about it, and they are willing to take on the process of designing and planning and doing all of that portion of this course, which is then again, you know, a great partnership that you have UNC Charlotte students actually designing the course for us. So it depends on a lot of different things, and but I just wanted to make you all aware and answer any questions that you all might have regarding this. And two of the board members are sitting here. If you all would like to chime in, Commissioner Wortman and Mr. Newton.
I know the CVB was super excited to get this project going. That was evident at our last board meeting. And I didn't want to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. We have a very great working relationship, the county and the CVB. So projects like these bring so much to Cabarrus County. So I know it's a different project, but just a rough guess, can you provide how much the Mondo track has brought in to Cabarrus County? Because that was one of your visions, and this is another one, and it turned out to be massively productive. So just a rough, the positive impacts of the Mondo track.
I believe it was over $11 million in economic impact at this point, and it's only been there a year. So with continued interest each year, the number of meets that we host at J.M. Robinson for that project increases. There's only so many weekends in the 3 months that that track season is available, that those weekends are available. So we pick and choose and are very choosy about which ones get to utilize that facility. The CVB has also invested, I think they were delivered today, 2 more sets of bleachers to be placed at the throwing field, as well as an additional shot put area, because we heard back from a lot of these larger tournaments or meets that's what holds the meets up, is we only had 1 shot put throwing area. And so this way the boys and the girls will be able to throw and do that sport consecutively at the same time, which it won't hold up the track meet from moving along on a timely manner. So we continue to invest money into that project, as we would hopefully do the same thing if this project takes off. Anybody else?
So I appreciate your presentation. I realize that it's in the infancy stages, but I also appreciate you mentioning the second entrance to Franklin Park. That was going to be my question to you, which is why it is so vital that we make sure that we get that money from the state for that second entrance, and we're going to be having a discussion here momentarily about our consultant. So I do appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm hoping the legislators are listening as well.
And anything that we can do to help move that along, we're happy to do that also.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I'd just say from the county's perspective, this is great timing while we're considering how to design the second entrance, because if we did a cross-country course out there that was expected to bring a large amount of participants, we would obviously want to be able to factor that in and any type of parking and roadage required to support that. So it's good timing all around on that front. And definitely as we factor in what funds we get from the state or deploy locally, want to make sure that we know the general board sentiment on this project so that we can factor in the capacity needs on that front.
I would also be remiss if I didn't state that because our money has to be spent on tourism-related projects, the fact that we would be utilizing it for tourism, but the benefit back to our local residents here to be able to use this cross-country course as walking trails and other things is also a great partnership. Speaking of, I am headed to Chicago this week. I was asked by Destinations International to sit on a panel to talk about our partnerships with our county government and our school systems, and how we have spent tourism tax dollars so wisely that it fits in the tourism bucket, but it also advocates for the local students, student athletes, as well as this project would, because it's in a public park, would be an amazing asset to the locals. Anything else?
I think it's exciting. I think it's a great thing, and I think it's probably more economic impact than you're giving it credit for. It's going to bring, the only thing I'd say, you will not see me running on it. I'll only run if something's chasing me. So, but I look forward to seeing that. I think it's a great idea, and I think it's going to be great for the county if we can get this, so.
Well, and also, one more thing, and I think Kelly can attest to this, that the last time this happened, when you all borrowed the money for the turf field project, we had projected that it would take, 10 years to pay that off? And because of occupancy tax collection, that was paid off in 5 to 6 years, much earlier than what we had anticipated. So the better tourism does, the quicker it gets paid off. So I appreciate your time and happy to answer any questions after this if you have any. Thank you very much.
Next, we have 3.2, active living parks, and Byron Hager.
I'm obviously not Byron Hegler, but I'm going to introduce him here in a moment. I'm Todd Shanley. I am the Chief Information Officer, which means I am the IT Director for Cabarrus County, as well as I have assumed the roles of Chief of Staff for the county. So we used to do a report to the board on a pretty regular basis called the Innovation Report. And because of some of the things that have been going on with weather and things like that across the country right now, I thought this was a timely moment for Byron to come and share a story of an innovation that we have recently implemented here in Cabarrus about our peri-weather system. It's also, I'm going to steal the privilege of introducing Byron as our new director of ALPS, our Active Living in Parks system. So we're very proud and excited to see what he's going to do for us in the future. You're up, bud.
Thank you. Ms. Lauren, would you share that for me? Good evening, Commissioners and management. So as Mr. Shanley mentioned here, our peri-weather system that we have. So given this past weekend and the horrific conditions that's happening in Texas, and while also in our neighboring states, this investment that the county has made has greatly improved what we can do as staff to keep our folks safe, including the patrons. So this little PowerPoint image here will give you a quick little visual here, if it's able to be popped up, of what has been added. So we have 4 weather stations. One is at Frank List Park, and this one here is at Virginia Foyle Park. So it looks like your typical weather system dial that you would see at some locations. You see a spinning dial, but what this gives you is many different things. It's an alert system, while also it is a weather station itself. So the great thing about how this works and how this moves forward, so please by all means keep scrolling forward, is this takes a lot of the guesswork out of anything that the staff has to do. So it gives you a list here of the many different things. So the staff are alerted by text message. So any of us are carrying a phone, we're going to receive that text message update. We're going to receive an email. We're also going to receive an audible alarm that goes through. So it is loud. So we take that we try to be very considerate with that we're not just making a very loud, obnoxious noise to our neighboring partners or properties, to where this is a true emergency. We want to make you aware of what's going on. This system will notify you if there is lightning detected within our current parameters, 10 miles of the actual property, and gives you that audible system, but it also gives you an audible all clear 30 minutes after that last is detected. So you're out at Camp T in Spencer Park. If you're able to see that image when it comes up, you'll be able to see that next slide where it shows the different locations. So you have Franklin Park, Camp T in Spencer Pool, Rob Wallace Park, and Virginia Foyle Park are the 4 locations. In years past, you have high school staff members, college-age staff members that are also lifeguards who are making the decision whether or not it's safe to be out in a potential storm. Did I see the lightning? Did I hear thunder? That is what we operated off in the past. This takes the guesswork out of that system and keeps people safe. So unfortunately, our neighbors here just in the last couple weeks, we had in South Carolina, 18 people were struck in a local park. And things like this where we have this in place is pulling people off of the trail systems, is pulling them off of the ball fields, which is difficult to get a lot of people off of a ball field. It's difficult to keep people out of the water of the pool because it looks safe while that system is still nearby enough to where it can cause some true damage. So just wanted to give you this update here of what this system is and the investment that you have made to keep the staff safe as well as the patrons. And we are doing many things working with ITS and IAM to figure out different ways to educate the folks of what's here, because there's also going to be signage where the patrons can go up and scan and get that real-time information off of these weather systems that are here. But also, just to give you a couple stats, 26 of the last 31 days at Camp T in Spencer, we have had a heat index of 100. So it gives the staff that text message of when they're jumping and running and going out to serve these people, regardless of the temperature, they're getting that information right off bat of saying, protect yourself, drink, and cool off as much as you possibly can, giving that update as it comes forward. In the last 7 days, we've had 11 lightning strike notifications within 10 miles of our facilities. And so we receive those real-time notifications so we can make those adjustments. Any questions?
Well, I'm thankful that you presented this today because, to your point, Todd, this is something that I think our community is really thinking heavily about, especially right now with what happened in Texas. So thank you for letting us know that we have the systems in place to alert our residents if something like this was going to happen here too. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. One of the other pieces that we thankfully have not had to utilize, but this is an alert system. So if it's a tornado, if it's any type of weather system, but we also have the ability to add something in if we have unfortunately a missing child happen in one of the park facilities. We can actually have this system give that notification of we have a child that is at the park office with the description of this, their name is, and we can make that real-time quick effort that where it's going to blast out and make that time down much reduced drastically in that situation. So there are a lot of elements to this system that are huge benefits for what the county has invested.
Thank you, that sounds great.
All right. Thank you all.
I just wanted to add one more thing to the fact that reports like this, we come before you a lot to ask for the funds, but don't remember to talk about the wins and how important, and bringing the solutions back to you and presenting them to you and the public to make sure they understand how the tax dollars are being invested. So if you've seen other things that we have done that you're like, hey, what is the progress on that? Or what can we be doing better or anything like that from an innovation standpoint, please reach out. We'd love to bring more of this content back to you guys in the future.
That's a good idea. Let's show the people what's working. That's a good idea. All right, next we have our county manager, Sean Newton, to give us update on the Holloway Group.
Thank you. So I just wanted to come back to the board with a brief update after the budget discussion we had last meeting. To pass the budget, there was some discussion around our expenditures on the Holloway Group as our lobbyist at the state level. So I met with the Holloway Group a couple weeks ago after our last meeting and discussed current progress. The reality is, with where the state budget is at currently, it's going to be a few more months before that's completed. I think best guesses are maybe as late as September or October, potentially longer than that. And so He was generally optimistic with the progress he's had in talking through our financing needs for the Franklin second entrance at the park, as well as the animal shelter, and felt optimistic that we would get some, if not all, of those funds. However, obviously, can't be committal until the state budget gets to further progress. So just wanted to make sure y'all had that information. As we talked about, we are on a 30-day, month-to-month contract essentially at this point, now that we've passed our initial 6-month period. And so obviously open to any questions or feedback. There's only so much he knows at this point, but one of the big points he made was our delegation is obviously wholly supportive of these Cabarrus County needs and very interested, invested in making sure we get those. However, it takes more than just your delegation, right? It takes a budget writer who can help get them into the budget to ensure that they actually come to fruition. And so his big, I guess, cautionary tale to me was, be careful removing yourself from the situation before the budget gets deep enough for it to be in there, so that the last 6 months aren't a lost cause, right? And so that's I guess one thing I'd offer for consideration to y'all would be, my recommendation as a manager, maybe to just hold on to the contract until we see how the budget cycle finishes, and then evaluate at that point, unless there's a overwhelming sentiment to just go ahead and adjust now and see how the budget process shakes out without him advocating on our behalf.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say, I served in the State House with Brian Holloway, and I'll tell you, this is a man of integrity that I would definitely trust. I think he'll do what he says he'll do, and he'll do a good job of it.
I'd like to put it on our agenda for our next meeting for some action, so we can set a time frame that we're willing to go with. I'm leaning towards giving it until the state budget and see what we get then, and then see if we need a consultant, a lobbyist after that or not. But so if we put it on and for new business on the next agenda, and we'll vote on it, and then we can put this to rest one way or the other. If everybody's fine with that.
Worst case scenario, does the county have the money to build the second entrance on our own by moving funds around? If this falls through, do we have the money to get that second entrance?
We have earmarked funds from some other projects. Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we are in a position where we can support the construction of it without the state funds if needed.
Correct. We did have funding that was initially for the splash pad, but we have redirected those funds to the second entrance rather than introduce more people into the park for another amenity that we can't support the traffic for right now. So we have made a determination to move those with park staff involved in that decision.
And then depending on how the cross-country course shakes out, we may want to divert more funds to make the entrance be able to support that capacity, depending on what that analysis looks like. But at least from what we have initially planned, we do have funds set aside to be able to support that if needed.
All right, we'll move on to item 4, which is discussion items for action. Our first one is 4.1, active living in parks. And we have, this is a North Carolina Amateur Sports grant.
Yes. Ray Moore.
Oh, you're
good
not the
evening.
one I have down here now. And
What do you have?
I have Brian.
Ray Moore. I'm the project event manager. Recently new to the department, but good evening. We are pleased to report that we were awarded a $1,500 grant from the North Carolina Amateur Sports Youth Sports Grant. This is a statewide program that awards upwards to $20,000 across the state of North Carolina, and we were made aware of this award or this grant opportunity by our state association, the North Carolina Recreation and Parks Association, and these funds are going to be used to help with training aids for pickleball and youth camps at Franklin Park, and we are requesting that you guys authorize the budget amendment.
Is this not a match?
No, there is no match. Any other questions?
So, any other questions? We're
Yeah,
going to
you
put that
wouldn't
on
need
the
to.
consent agenda. We'll put it on the consent agenda. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Next is 4.2, facilities design and construction, Progress Place renovation. Michael Miller.
Michael is not with us today, so I'm going to handle that agenda item. Jason Harris is with us from Messer Construction. So we did, in early this year, put out a RFQ for a construction manager at risk to carry out the work at Progress Place. We did have 6 submissions. We shortlisted to 3, and it was a unanimous decision to choose Messer, an internal committee of 6 of us. And the proposed pre-construction amount is $379,452. This also sets Messer's fee at 3.15 for the future GMPs that will come in. I believe we'll have some long lead items that will probably come next, and then the final GMP. This is the same terms as the behavioral health care facility, and it has been reviewed by risk. And Jason's here if you have any questions in particular about the contract.
Anybody have any questions?
I just want to thank you. We've worked with you on several projects, and you guys always deliver on time, and everything's perfect. So you've been wonderful to work with, so thank you.
Happy to be a partner to the county.
All right. I guess we'll move that to consent agenda for a meeting.
Great. Thanks, Joe.
Next, we have 4.3, the fair, and I know Todd's here, so I got
Yes, again, I get the pleasure to introduce Courtney Wyatt. She's our new fair director. She's been with us since April, so she's going to bring to you the updates, but Mr. Weaver and his wonderful team have put together a great intro video that Courtney will love that you guys get to see here, and we get to play on Channel 22 tonight, so it's it's great to have her. She's been doing a great job drinking from a fire hose. So as we had some transition in staff that we unexpectedly during the fair, but as we all know, the fair will go on this year, and we're very excited. I don't want to steal any of Courtney's thunder, so I'm not going to talk about anything except for I want to thank all of the county staff who have really jumped in and pitched in this year, because the fair couldn't go on this year without, Doug's reviewed, I don't know how many contracts, every single day it seems like we're sending him another, hey, can you look at this? So just make sure we are following all the county procedures. So we're just going through that process. And again, what does the IT guy know about a fair? Very little. So I'm learning a lot. And so I'm really excited to bring my experience as a county employee and almost 30 years of operational experience here at the county to help Courtney really pull this off this year. But I'll stop talking and let the video introduce Courtney and let her talk to you guys tonight about, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to tell you about the great things that we're adding to the fair this year and the different things that we're going to do. And then we need to have a discussion about fees and specifically how, you guys are the people who set the rates, the expense for how we're, what we can charge for things. So we can't say, we're going to have this great night, we're going to offer discount tickets. We as staff can't approve that. So we've got some ideas that we want to hear from you, and we're going to present those tonight. It should be a great conversation. We look forward to some input from you guys. Go ahead, Kev.
People always ask me, Courtney, what's it like planning a fair? And I have to tell them, 1, my name's not Courtney, it's Jalen. And 2, I've never planned a fair, but I know someone who's planning our fair and rodeo, and she's right here.
I was born and raised in Cabarrus County. I graduated from Northwest Cabarrus High School and went to NC State, where I received my bachelor's degree in business management. In 2011, my husband and I started a registered Black Angus cattle operation, and while doing that, I was substitute teaching at our local middle school. There were several kids there that showed interest in showing cattle, and I just happened to have the cattle for them to do that with. So now, for the last 2 years, they have been showing the cattle at the Cabarrus County Fair. We're excited for everything that's happening at the fair this year. We've got the rodeo, a petting zoo, Robinson's Racing Pigs, the Lumberjack Show, Too Much Sylvia, food, of course, and so much more.
Good evening. We have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to go through for you all. Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, this is our 2025 Cabarrus County Fair presentation. Okay, so new for the fair this year, we are offering advanced ticket sales for both fair admission, ride wristbands, and also our rodeo. We have added the ability for online entries for our competitive exhibits and our livestock shows. So people can choose to enter with their normal paper entries that they mail in or drop off at the office, but we're also going to have the ability to do online entries. Our livestock shows are going to be held in the arena this year. Since we have the dirt in there already for the rodeo, why not take advantage of the livestock shows being in the arena? What that does for our shows is it offers a lot more seating. People can see better, they're up higher. And also the space that the contestants are showing their animals is a lot bigger. So in the past, there have been some classes that were large enough to where I didn't feel like maybe people showing their animal had enough room to show it properly. So this is going to give them a lot more room. We're also implementing the Fair Mercantile, which is in our Gold Hall facility. That is where we will have local craft vendors set up booths and sell their products. We're also working with the County Extension Program to do 2 booths called Cabarrus Grown, and those are going to highlight our local farms. This is new entertainment for this year. Our next slide gives you some pictures. We have Dangerous Feats of Comedy, Too Much Sylvia. We have a new petting zoo this year, Eudora Farms, which they're bringing a large variety of animals to us this year. We also have the Lumberjack Show and Hog Diggity Dogs, and then some local entertainment with Landon Klein. I don't know if you all have seen him or not. He plays around here. Oh, too far. Okay, so big new thing this year is our rodeo. We have partnered with the Southern Rodeo Company. They are our production company. They're a family-owned business, been in business for 30 years, and they're one of the largest production companies in the Southeast. They are sanctioned with the International Professional Rodeo Association, which you'll also hear referred to as IPRA. And we found out that in the last 2 years, they have been named Stock Contractor of the Year. So for the U.S., they were awarded Stock Contractor of the Year, and that's voted on by the participants of the rodeo. Each night of the rodeo, they will have 8 events. A lot of people think rodeos are just bulls and barrel racing, but we have bulls and saddle bronc and bareback riding, barrel racing, team roping, calf roping, breakaway roping, and steer wrestling. I must be putting it the wrong way. There we go. Okay, dates of the rodeo. It's Friday and Saturday nights of both weekends. The rodeo will start at 6:30. The show will be 2 to 2.5 hours long. Hopefully when the show's over, we welcome the folks from the rodeo to enter into the fair and enjoy the fair for the rest of the evening. The rodeo will be in the Cabarrus Arena. We're doing general admission, $25, and then children 2 and under are free. And your rodeo ticket includes fair admission. Okay, my fair staff. I have Stephanie Simpson. She works in the office with me. She does lots of things, but these are some of the highlights. She has been working with MarTech, which is our competitive exhibits and livestock show software, building that with all our classes in livestock shows and awards. She has been working for weeks on trophies and ribbons and neck ribbons and buckles that we're planning to give out this year as awards. She also is working with our apparel, helping to get that order going for our volunteers. And then she's very good at organization and also helping with the volunteer coordination. We have Kathy Harkey. She's our Gold Hall superintendent. She's returning to us this year. She's been a volunteer for 14 years at the fair. That's what she went back and counted her volunteer shirts, and that's how she came up with the number. So 14 years, and she will be overseeing the activities associated with the competitive exhibits in Gold Hall. My livestock superintendent is Jimmy Petty, and he will be overseeing the activities in Event Center and also the arena. This is his first year with the Cabarrus County Fair. However, he has experience in rodeo production and also horse show. He is the president of the local saddle club. Okay. Here are our sponsorship levels. And current sponsors for this year are James River Equipment. They are donating our tractor and skid loader that we need for the rodeo. McDonald's General Store, they are donating 2 pallets of shavings for the petting zoo, and also are the sponsors for our dairy showmanship buckles. We have First Bank that is sponsoring our t-shirts. Ron Smith with Ed Jones as a Shoot Gate sponsor. Falk Brothers Turf Supply as a Shoot Gate sponsor. Cabarrus County Farm Bureau, they sponsored our sheep and goat showmanship buckles, and also Rocky River Large Animal are sponsoring our beef showmanship buckles. Okay, so here is our fee structure. It is not changing from prior years, but $8 for adults and then $6 for children, seniors, and military with a valid ID. Children 5 and under get in free, and then Cabarrus County employees get in free with a badge. Here are our theme days for 2025, and I will go into each of those in the next slides. Okay. Monday, Senior Day. We are going to open an hour early at 3 o'clock. Seniors 55 and older will get in free from 3 to 4 p.m. They will have bingo to play from 3:30 to 4:30. A senior talent show at 5 o'clock, and then Montana Sky will be performing for them on the main stage from 7 to 9 p.m. Toucan Tuesday. So if you bring in 2 canned food items, you get $2 off admission. I'm working with Cooperative Christian Ministry. They're going to be the ones that are coordinating the volunteers so that when the food gets to the fair, they have people there to load it into trucks and distribute it. They wanted me to make sure that you all knew that all the food that is collected stays in Cabarrus County and Kannapolis. And then that night at 6 p.m., Landon Klein will be playing on the main stage. Wednesday, school night. Cabarrus County students will receive free entry. At 6 o'clock, there will be a dunking booth. The proceeds from the dunking booth will go to the Cabarrus County Education Foundation. And then Too Much Sylvia will be playing on the main stage at 6. Okay, Thursday, carload night. This is one that is exciting to me. So up to 6 people per car. They get a fair admission ticket and a ride wristband for $90. So if you have 4 people in the car, they get their admission and wristbands for $90, up to 6. If you were to buy that outright for 6 adults, you would be paying $270. So pretty good savings. We're currently looking for a sponsor that will get naming rights of this night. If you're interested, call the fair office. And then we'll have a dunking booth that night at 6 o'clock, and the proceeds for that one will be for the Cabarrus County Animal Shelter.
So I just want to highlight, so our ride vendor was the one that recommended this format, because we obviously brought back to him that a lot of the complaints we get is the fair affordable still for a regular family to be able to go to the fair and enjoy the rides. And he said this is what he does at multiple other locations. Like Goldsboro is a big one here in North Carolina that he does this, and it's one of their biggest nights. And and obviously from an affordability standpoint, yes, $90 is still a lot, but 6 people to be able to enjoy a night of rides at that point. So it's especially September 11th that night. So obviously it'll mean a lot, but also we'll be excited to have all the kids out there and enjoying that. So it'll be great.
The Wayne County Fair in Goldsboro, they are just a little bit larger than us, so it's comparable, but he does the 6 people per car for $90. All right, and I just want to say thank you to each and every department within the county, my volunteers, and my advisory board for all their ideas and help. All their knowledge and willingness to help has been a blessing to Stephanie and myself. So we hope to see you at the 2025 fair.
And I'm sorry, sir. The other person I wanted to make sure I should have thanked from the get-go is Kenny Robinson. So in the last couple of years, the arena staff, I believe they're called Legends now, is the AMG. So whoever the folks that run the arena did not participate in the running of the fair. We have asked them to help, and he has completely stepped up and really is really going to be one of the reasons that we're going to be successful this year, because he's brought so much knowledge of the facility and everything else that we're doing right now to be able to keep us moving forward in this tight time frame that we're working with. And I'm sure there's tons of other people that we're forgetting.
Yes.
Jim's in the back. He's been helping us on the finance side constantly. So we've got lots of folks in the room that communications, yes. Weaver and his team have really stepped up. I think we're going to have a big social media push going forward from today forward after we release this piece, trying to not spend as much money on the older social media or other advertising things that we've done in the past. While, yes, it's great to see a billboard every now and again, but everybody's still going to social media. So we may not spend as much on the billboards, up and down the 85 this year, and kind of just tweaking it a little bit. It's our first year, so don't break it. So but I think there's some tweaks that we can use. And again, Weaver and his team have been a huge help already.
I do have one question. I love what you did. I'm excited about the fair, and I don't mean this as a criticism, it's just a question. As far as the rodeo, you have general admission is $25 and children 2 and under free, and then that rodeo admission includes price to the fair.
Mm-hmm.
But for the kids, it's 5 and under is free to get into the fair. Did you consider doing a 5 and under for the rodeo?
Right. So I talked with the rodeo company to see what they charge at their events, and it was $25. Across the board.
But as far as, is there a reason we do 2 years old or 5 years old? I think we could
2 years old was that a 2-year-old or under could sit on a parent's lap instead of taking up a seat. If they could sit on the lap, then that's where we got the 2-year-old.
But it's, as I said earlier, is 100%
It
your call.
costs to have kids.
Well, it's all, but no, it's 100% your call. So we're flexible from that standpoint of if you as a board believe that we should make that uniform across, we're open to that. But that, I mean, I think is a good reasoning. Thank you.
I think we need to suspend the rules so we have a motion, because we need to get your prices approved. The fee schedule approved.
Mr. Chairman, I have a concern on that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I don't know. I get paid to be here. I consider myself a county employee. And as such, I don't feel comfortable with getting in free when veterans are having to pay the $6. I'd like to see that addressed differently somehow. I mean, I'm not a veteran, but boy, I've got my family full of them, all the way back to Solomon Weatherington in the Revolutionary War to my son, who, like Solomon, is also a major, now in the National Guard with 23 years service. And I just don't feel right getting in free what they have to pay. So I'd like to, I'm not saying necessarily veterans in for free, although that might be an idea, but I just don't think as a county employee I deserve to get in free when veterans have to pay. So I'd like to see us address that somehow.
How much are the wristbands? And who decides that price?
Corky decides, the ride operator decides the price.
Do we know how much those are going to be?
37.
37.
And that's an all-in price. So there's a $35 fee and then a $2 activation fee. So,
Okay. And then also, how much have we spent on the contracts so far for all of this?
Sorry, I should have known that off the top of my head. It is, the rodeo itself is $76,000, and then we are, believe it's north of 125. I'm sorry, I didn't have that number right in front of me. I should have.
But for all the events we brought, I think it's about 413 or 423,000, I think is.
For all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate from all of the things that have to happen from a
Set up
show
and take
pro. Yeah, so there's like a $90,000 contract to have show pros manage the ticket taking and have what have you. That was an existing contract that exists. So yes, there's a good number.
And my other for years we've heard about the rodeos. Have we included the cost of cleaning the arena? Because from what I was told, you have to pretty much wash the entire thing down, clean all the filters. Have we made sure we're covered for that?
Again, I think that's where, Kenny Robinson is a true asset for us. He is truly, from taking the dirt in, taking the dirt out, we've accounted for that with a contractor. And then, yes, that cleaning is going to have to happen, but there's the same contract. It should cover that with the cleaning. Because again, we've got a not to exceed with several of these vendors that were existing contracts. So being able to leverage and change the existing staff that Kenny has in place to move some assets around to be able to do that.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's a valid concern, but I will say I've seen them do it at Dorton Arena in Raleigh, so I think we can handle it here.
I think that, it's the expense. I mean, we definitely had that discussion that, was it going to be an expense that was worth it? The other part of it that I think Courtney discussed was the idea that we're now going to show, during the week when the rodeo is not going on, when the folks bring their livestock in to be shown, they're going to be in a larger arena. It's going to be something they're going to be proud of. Their family's going to be able to come in there and see what they're doing. I think it's going to be a really exciting environment. It's going to be a lot more like Dorton than I think we've ever had. Again, it was fun to be able to sit on the bleachers and watch the kids do that, but having to, I'm the citiest boy you've got here, so I'm excited to see it. But to remember all of the shavings and the muck that had to happen and the labor that was going on to keep that going, I think we have a fair offset. But again, it's our first year, sir, so we're gonna keep a track on it and let you know.
So I'm here advertising for you guys tonight. This is the fair logo, so I ordered my own T-shirt on Amazon. This is not y'all's merchandise, but I wanted to make sure that I had it to support y'all tonight as well. I thank you all so much for all of the hard work that y'all have put in. I think we have seen for years that the fair has been in decline, and I am incredibly excited this year for all of the new things that you're going to be bringing to the fair, all of the families that are going to come and get to enjoy this. I know that we'll be able to work out the logistics with pricing and, you know, veterans and all of that. I completely understand that concern, I do, but as a whole, I am unbelievably excited for the fair. I thank you, Courtney, for all of the hard work that you have put in. You came in and just completely took over and did a fantastic job. So
Thank you.
to the board and to you guys and to the staff and to all of the walkers that were at the fair or at the parades this past weekend that did a great job handing out the stickers and everything else to advertise for the fair as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, I think we need a motion to suspend the rules so we can vote on the fee schedule.
I'll make the motion to suspend the rules to vote.
Get a second?
Do we need to figure out
We'll talk, we'll discuss it if we have a second. Did we have a second? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Shue. All right, let's discuss, any discussion?
Well, before we approve it.
Right.
I mean, if we're going to approve the fees, we need to address the law.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I didn't move to go
Right, I
forward.
understand, that's.
So we do it next meeting, but I think I pretty much made my case. You know, I just don't feel right getting in free when veterans have to pay. They've paid. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. Some of the veterans I know, I was chairman of Homeland Security, Military and Veterans Affairs, well, co-chairman, that committee in the State House. The other two guys were a 22-year Marine and a former drill sergeant in the Marine Corps. And when the ideas came up to do all this stuff for the veterans, they said no. They said veterans don't expect that. They served their country, they're proud of it, and they expect to be treated like any other citizen, not something special. And so I kind of feel like they did about it. That's, I'm not asking to give veterans free admission. I mean, if you want to do it, that's up to y'all. But I'm just saying they shouldn't be treated less well than other citizens. And so I just feel like if we're going to let county employees in free, somehow that's disrespecting the veterans when they have to pay.
Well, speaking as a veteran, I'm like those two with you there in the House. I did what I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed what I did serving the country. And I don't expect anything out of the ordinary. I don't expect any special benefit for that. But a thank you for your service once in a while does help. But I'm not looking for any handouts or any favors. I did what I did.
I mean,
Anybody have? Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I do think, I agree, you know, that, I mean, I think it would be great if we could also see veterans be able to get in free with a military ID. I don't know what, you know, I hear you, Commissioner Shue, saying you don't expect anything. You did your service and you did it because you wanted to do it, and I completely understand that and I completely respect that. But when I hear Commissioner Pittman, I'm not really sure, I don't know, I guess it would be either one of two things. We either don't let the county employees get in for free and just let them present their badges at the door and get a $2 discount, or we also let veterans in for free, like we're letting county employees in. I mean, those, in my mind, I guess those would be the two options that you would.
So I believe the context for why we started allowing employees in for free was in a year where we weren't able to fund an employee appreciation event. So I believe it was probably 2010 economic downturn timeframe. So it was an alternative option for us to be able to provide that benefit to employees. The other take on that is if I'm going and I'm bringing my family, yes, we do lose the $8 in revenue of me, but now we've got the employee, and then they're going to spend those $8, and we're obviously there's some revenue sharing that's happening with the vendors, so we're getting that money back in some form or fashion. So, but again, yeah, as a veteran, I can see it both ways.
Well, I guess we're at a point where we kind of need to try to find a compromise here. And about the only thing, I mean, if you're going to be letting employees in for free, the only compromise I can see is at least let it be known to veterans, you have a choice. You can pay or you can get in free if you like. Could we at least go that far?
Yeah, I think anecdotally, just from knowing the back-end finances, if you were to charge a nominal fee to Cabarrus County employees with badges, you could probably lower kind of that second tier due to the extra income and make it $3 or $4 for veterans and employees and still cover the same amount of revenue you're losing. So, I mean, that would be an option as well if you wanted to split the difference, if you will.
Could you couple a Veterans Appreciation Night with one of these other nights where they get in free? Sure. I probably wouldn't do it on the carload night.
No, in the playlist, yeah. September 11th seems to make the most sense, but yeah, obviously if it's already carload night, there's no reason for that.
That way there is an opportunity for them to get in free. Sure. I mean, and
yeah,
it's the least amount of change to all the work that you've put in already. I'm good either way. I was just throwing out an alternative solution. So
I'm good with that if we make it at least 2 nights for veterans.
Well, to me, the idea of putting employees and veterans at least on the same level of a $3 or something like that, that sounds a little better to me. I don't want to put myself above the guys who paid the price for my freedom. That's all. If we can do something like that, I guess I can be satisfied with it.
I mean, I kind of like the idea, and I did mention earlier about just doing a night for the veterans too, coupled with that. But then, maybe I think it would be nicer for them to be able to just kind of get in whatever night they want to go and then split the difference, like you mentioned, Sean, potentially making up the price difference if we split the difference with the staff and the veterans, and then they could go whichever night they want to go.
It sounds like we're all in agreement to do something for the veterans and the employees. So if someone wants to make a motion, I think we'll pass whatever motion that we do. We had a motion on the table that I guess to adopt this, we need to amend it.
Right, this would be an amendment to
the amendment to that motion.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Actually, you have a motion on the floor to suspend the rules. You have a motion and a second.
Okay.
If you vote on that, then you can.
we did that.
Well, we discussed, but
We didn't vote.
We're still discussing.
We didn't vote on the motion
to suspend the rules.
Oh, we did. It was 4-0, wasn't it?
No, not yet.
Okay, I thought we did. My fault. All right, so let's go back. There's a motion on the floor and a second to suspend the rules.
All in favor?
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passed 4-0. 5-0, that's right. I keep thinking 4. You know why I think 4. All right. 5-0. All right, so now is a motion for adopt the fee schedule for the Cabarrus County Fair with any amendments.
I'd like to offer an amendment that county employees and veterans get in for $3 any night that they want to come.
And
Any further discussion?
so I'll second that.
Okay.
You second. All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, so that passed 5-0.
Now the main
So-
motion. Now the main motion,
Yes.
as amended.
All right, so we go back to our rules. Okay. We are no longer suspended. Perfect. Do I have to do a motion for that? Okay, just making sure. All right, so do you know what your fee schedule is now, right?
Great. That's great. Well, that'll be great. So you'll start seeing that stuff on social media probably tomorrow, if not in a few minutes. Yeah, I know Mr. Weaver's been waiting on that motion, so we do appreciate you guys having that discussion tonight. I know that's a little out of order for you guys, and I hate bringing stuff like that to you, but we're behind the 8 ball, and we want to get that stuff out there. And you know, we kind of glossed over it, but doing the early purchasing of tickets, doing those online, I think that's going to generate a lot of interest early, and we're going to be able to tell, you know, and bring you guys updates. So
Well, we're excited. We're very
I believe we
excited.
still need to vote on the motion as amended.
Thought we did.
We amended the motion, we still need to vote on the motion as amended.
We're good.
You sure? Okay.
We approved it for $3 for county and village.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Well, we did it wrong, but anyway.
I'm not very good at motion. All right, so back to our next item for discussion here is finance with the lottery proceeds. Jim Houghton.
Good evening, Commissioners. As part of the fiscal year 2026 budget process, you all approved utilizing $3 million in lottery funds to help pay for school debt. This motion is to authorize the chairman to execute the applications for us to send to the state to request those funds, and the budget amendment and project ordinance for the lottery funds so we can record the transactions.
Anybody got any questions? All right, I say we move that to the consent agenda for our meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next is 4.5, finance. You get to do it again.
I get to do it again,
This is
yes.
reimbursement resolutions. Go ahead.
The county may advance funds for capital projects prior to going out for financing. We have 2 reimbursement resolutions that allow us to pay ourselves back once we do go out for financing. So I'm asking the board to approve reimbursement resolutions for A.L. Brown High School addition and Jackson Park Elementary School addition.
Anybody any questions on that? Well, okay, we'll move that to our consent agenda for our meeting. Next is 4.6, legal, tentative Sandoz opioid settlement. That's a lot for me to say.
All right, thank you,
All right,
Mr.
Doug.
Chairman. Before I address the items in your agenda, Dr. Elise Pugh, your Assistant County Manager and DHS Director, is here with a brief PowerPoint to bring you all up to date on some of the opioid proceeds that have benefited the county. If you don't mind to turn the floor over to her first.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be before the commission. I appreciate your time. I want to make this quick. As Doug mentioned, I'm just going to give you a brief update as we consider adding a new settlement to our opioid settlement allocation. You've seen iterations of this slide deck in the past, but I'll just go through it very quickly. So Health Management Associates is the firm that did our collaborative strategic planning process, if you're wondering why their logo is on the slide deck. So just as a quick refresher for this board, the opioid settlements came in waves. So our first wave was 3 big distributors and Johnson & Johnson. And as a reminder, funds are used to support treatment, recovery, harm reduction, and other life-saving programs and services in communities across the state. We've been receiving opioid settlement funds now for roughly 3 fiscal years. North Carolina's Opioid and Substance Use Action Plan lays out concrete strategies to advance prevention. Here in North Carolina, the decision was made that 80% of our opioid settlements would go to local governments, and all 100 counties at the time signed on for the opioid settlement agreement. 15% stayed at the state level for the state to make decisions regarding addressing the opioid epidemic at their level. Wave 2 funding came with another $21 billion in new settlements, and those were the private companies that were associated with that: CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, Allergan, and Teva. North Carolina state and local governments will receive $600 million from those Wave 2 settlements. And again, all municipalities and 100 counties signed on to this. The municipality, in order for them to receive their own allocation, they had to be large enough. For us, Concord was the only municipality that was large enough, and they opted to give their funds to Cabarrus County to add to our collective pot. And so here's the agenda item for today. We have other smaller settlements. We got Kroger last year. Mackenzie's settlement was just a one-time allocation that was not part of the memorandum of agreement. We used that for our peer-run respite project. Endo and Mallinckrodt, we received those funds about 2 fiscal years ago. One was last year and one was the fiscal year before that. And then today, Doug will talk about the Sandoz settlement. Again, the North Carolina Department of Justice is asking all 100 local governments in the state of North Carolina to sign on to this. Also, we'll be back before you probably either next month and or in September, because there's some other pending settlements as well, including the Purtue and Sackler settlement. Altogether, right now, we are receiving just under $23 million over the course of that time frame. Through fiscal year 5, we've already received $6.8 million. So you can actually go to Core North Carolina, go to Local Progress, filter by county, and you'll see the payment schedule for Cabarrus County. The darker bands are the bands where we have already received those funds. And again, finance confirmed that they are right on schedule in terms of giving us our disbursements. If you're wondering how the decisions were made in terms of how much each local government got, there was a formula that was used, and it was based on the number of pills that had been dispensed, opioid medications that had been dispensed in the community, the number of opioid overdose deaths, and the number of people suffering from opioid use disorders. At that time, when that formula was executed, our levels were extremely high. That's why we are receiving, relatively speaking, more funds in comparison to counties of comparable size. I'll just go through this really quickly. The North Carolina Memorandum of Agreement, this is our guide. We have to follow all of the requirements associated with the Memorandum of Agreement, and we signed on to this a couple of years ago. The 3 big buckets that are being used for different opioid efforts include prevention, treatment, and recovery. And this just explains a little bit more about the Memorandum of Agreement. And all of this is on that North Carolina Core website. I'm going to slide through these slides because I have a list that outlines all of the different strategies that we have opted to fund in North Carolina in terms of our current projects. Just as a reminder, we did undergo the collaborative strategic planning process. That was a year-long process. We'll actually have to start that process again next year. What that afforded us is it unlocked some additional strategies that we otherwise would not have been able to leverage had we not done that. The bingo item was one that is an option B strategy. We wouldn't have been able to do that had we not done the collaborative strategic planning project. So this is a list of our current projects. We're giving funds to Cabarrus County Schools to support adolescents with substance use disorders through the Recovery High School. We have medication-assisted treatment, which is this gold standard treatment for opioid use disorders in our detention center. We also have our emergency medical services that are administering medication-assisted treatment in the field for Cabarrus County residents who need that intervention. Cabarrus Health Alliance, which is our public health department, is supporting those detainees after they're released from detention to continue medication-assisted treatment. That's also funded with our opioid settlement dollars. Cabarrus Health Alliance also has a peer support. That's a person with lived experience who is helping someone else, other people who are going through the recovery process. You also probably know that for a number of years, we've had a program here in Cabarrus County called the Sun Clinic, and it's a collaboration between Cabarrus Health Alliance and the SUDA Institute. Well, that funding dried up last year, but it was specifically for pregnant or parenting women with opioid use disorders. And so through, again, the collaborative strategic planning process, our ability to leverage Strategy B strategies, we are able to continue to fund the Sun Clinic using opioid settlement dollars. So that's a big win for us here in Cabarrus County. We also are working with our communications team on some branding efforts, and so that's opioid use dollars are being used for those efforts as well. Our collaborative strategic planning, which was the consultant firm that led our collaborative strategic planning process, we're also funding an opioid project manager. And then Bridge to Recovery, Adult to Teen Challenge, Southeastern Recovery Center, they're all doing recovery supports for individuals with opioid use disorders. Monarch is the operator of our behavioral health center. We set aside some funds, so when that center opens in about a year, adolescents with opioid use disorders will be able to receive treatment services through our facility-based crisis in our behavioral health center. We're also funding distribution of naloxone, which is the antidote to an opioid overdose. And then to be determined in terms of providers, we're going to be doing some reentry services as well. So that's a list of all of our current projects. And just as a reminder, we're required to have an annual meeting. For the last 2 years, we did that at our summit. We decided to cast a wider net this year. So we're actually going to have an annual meeting in August. We are hoping all of you are able to attend that event. It's going to be at 6 o'clock at our Active Living Center. So please mark your calendars for that, and you'll hear more information about that in the coming days. With that, I'll turn it back over to Doug.
All right, thank you, Dr. Pugh. So just briefly, what we'll be asking you all to take up at the July 21st meeting on the consent agenda is a new settlement with a new defendant. This is Sandoz, a manufacturer. We don't know how much we might receive. So in other words, the document that you'll be considering July 21st is just a participation agreement. It indicates your desire to participate in the settlement. They have to have this first to see if enough class members agree to the settlement before it goes forward. If it does go forward, the total amount is $99.5 million to be divided among a number of governments. So I don't think this will be a large one, but of course anything we receive is a help to everything Dr. Pugh just described to you. So think of it as a preliminary agreement to participate in this come July 21st. Then later, probably September, October, we'll find out if it is going forward. And then we'll be able to access through the portal, I think, find out an exact dollar amount. And we would need to bring that back before you, for you all to vote to accept the actual dollar amount.
Anybody have any questions? All right, I say we move this to our consent agenda for our meeting. Okay.
All right, thank
you. All right, next we have 4.7, the Sheriff's Office, Chief Burchett.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Commissioners. I have with me Sergeant Elwood as well, who I will introduce shortly, but I'm before you to ask for you to accept a grant for the therapy dog that you all saw the picture of earlier. As you know, we're very passionate about our wellness program for our employees. We ask our officers and our employees to respond to some very difficult situations. A law enforcement officer on average experiences up to as many as 188 traumas throughout their career, which obviously has a major impact. And we believe in caring for those that care for others, basically. As I tell all new employees, the whole give yourself the oxygen mask before you give it to others. If you don't care for yourself, you can't serve the public. So we're very passionate about our wellness program. And we continue to encourage our officers, our employees to care for themselves so they can do their job and they can respond compassionately and care for our citizens. A major part of that is Sergeant Candace Elwood, who is our wellness sergeant, who creates programming to care for our employees. She also works closely with our clinicians to make sure that they're there for our employees. Well, this is another piece to this puzzle as we continue to care for our employees, to bring in a therapy dog, as EMS did as well. I'm going to turn the floor over to her just to tell you a little bit more about this therapy dog.
I'm so glad to be here this evening to bring the cutest agenda item to you. Make sure you get a peek at Sage if she didn't make it around to you. But as Chief said, we've worked very hard over the past year to develop a comprehensive wellness program, and this therapy dog would further support that mission. So she would attend debriefings and critical incidents, and also do tours around the agency, bringing positivity and joy to people throughout their days. But most importantly, she would be there for us in times of darkness. The facts are that there are some circumstances that words just cannot communicate, but a dog has the ability to communicate and reach us in a different manner. Thank you.
So just a little bit of business. There's no BA. Basically, the Highland Canine Connect is the grant arm of Highland Canine Training. They are basically paying them directly for the dog, so they just provide the dog to us as an asset, and we have community partnerships to pay for basically the canine's needs. So no BA and no match.
I just have one request, is that you bring her to meet us.
I told her that was going to be one of the first requests.
Bring the success story here.
Yes.
So as to say.
I would love to bring her to meet you all.
Yes.
Okay.
And she's a Bernese Doodle. I think I heard
I
y'all
saw
asking
that.
yeah.
Well, I thought she looked like an Aussie Doodle, but that's cool. I've never seen a Burmese.
Yes.
So, very cool.
Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, move that to the consent agenda. Thank you. All right, next is 4.8, Social Services, the Energy Program Outreach Plan. Laura Light, did I say it right? Okay.
Yes, you got it right. Good evening. So I'm here tonight to present to you our annual Cabarrus County Energy Programs Outreach Plan for the coming fiscal year 26. The Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, also known as LIHEAP, is federally funded. It is a block grant program that's comprised of 3 different programs, and those include our Crisis Intervention Program, which is CIP, our Low Income Energy Assistance Program, also known as LEAP, as well as our Weatherization Program. So I'm here tonight to specifically talk about CIP and LEAP for our outreach plan. So both of these programs assist eligible North Carolina households with managing the cost of heating and energy-related emergencies. LEAP provides a one-time vendor payment in the amount of $300 to $500 based on the fuel type. And this is to assist with heating bills specifically. CIP offers a year-round assistance to households facing heating and/or cooling crisis. And these payments or benefit amount can be up to $600 yearly. So in North Carolina, households that include a person age 60 or older are disabled, or if they're receiving services through DAS, which is the North Carolina Division of Adult and Aging Services, they may apply for LEAP during the month of December. So from December 1st through December 31st, we call that our special populations. And so they are able to apply the month of December. And then it opens up to all eligible households starting January 1st. And we take applications through March 31st or until the funds are exhausted. So this outreach plan is an annual plan, and basically it serves as a framework to ensure that eligible households are informed about these vital resources and to make sure they understand how they can access them. This is done with the help of an outreach planning committee, which encompasses a variety of community agencies. Hopefully you have that in your packet. Pretty extensive list of community partners that we engage with to help us get the word out. We start planning as early as September. We do meet twice a year. We start in September looking at planning specifically for outreach for LEAP program. And then again, we come back together in April to review the outcomes related to LEAP, but we also plan for summer weather and activities surrounding the heat of the summer. So this committee creates an opportunity for county level collaboration. We are able to discuss how to effectively reach county residents, to be able to inform them again of these benefits for both of the energy programs. So we do plan to maximize the success. Again, we plan to take on-site applications. We are hoping to do outreach as it relates to households that have children under the age of 5 in the home, seniors age 60 and older, and individuals that are disabled. Those are our special populations that we hope to again go on site and take applications. We were very successful this past season with going to all 6 of our Lunch Plus Club sites and do some educational series in November, but also to take applications in December for those families that qualified. So again, as in past years, we continue to work with our county's communication and outreach department. They do a wonderful job assisting us with preparing the messaging, getting the outreach materials and information to be publicized. So we appreciate their help every year. And just thank you for allowing me to come tonight and talk to you about our energy plan for the upcoming year, and hope to get your approval at the regular meeting.
Anybody have any questions? All right, put that on the consent agenda, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is 4.9, Tax Administration, the Tax Collector's Annual Settlement and Order, authorized collection of taxes.
Good evening, Commissioners. So North Carolina General Statute 105-373 calls for the annual settlement of the tax collector. So I've prepared a couple things for you this evening. One is a list of all delinquent 2024 taxes on real estate, as well as a list of delinquent 2024 taxes on personal property. I've not provided those lists to you specifically, but we have those available line item in the tax administration office. If anyone wants to review those, what I have provided you is a summary of those outstanding taxes. Real property totaling $2,551,425. Excuse me. Personal property outstanding of $430,343 for a total outstanding property tax, 2024 property tax, $2,981,769 as of June 30th. The summary I've provided shows a complete breakdown of county as well as the municipalities that are covered in those totals. So I've also provided to you a list of minimal refunds that we have maintained under $15. There's about 177 of those, totaling almost $1,080. We're in the process now of analyzing that list, looking for 2025 tax bills and accounts that we can apply those funds to, so that we don't expend the expense of sending small dollar checks back to taxpayers. Those can be requested to be sent by a taxpayer if they know they have overpaid a small amount under $15. They make that request. We will send that check, but we don't do that automatically. We apply it to the next year's taxes if available. And then if there's a point in which we can't identify that, we will send that to the state for the SG program. The next item within this is North Carolina General Statute 105-321 provides that the commission must order the collection of next year's tax receipts. I've provided a statement of that order to collect for you to approve. And then I've also provided you the projected levy for FY26 real and personal property taxes and penalties, totaling $430,085,922. And that covers the county plus the entirety of jurisdictions that we levy and collect for. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions? All right, we'll move that to consent agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next is item 4.10, Board of Commissioners, the Economic Development Grant Program Policy. I don't think this policy's been reviewed. It looks like the policy we're using is from 2008. Is that correct? Or was it updated in 2013?
2023.
The effective date was 2023 when it was last reviewed.
Okay.
Yeah, it was reviewed by the board, even if there weren't updates. It was still put on the agenda for approval by the board back in '23.
Okay. So it hasn't really been updated.
I think it has
So
been.
we need to update it.
It has been reviewed. It has not
We really
been
need to read
updated.
through
Yes,
it
sir.
and update it.
We typically address it at the start of the year, which we didn't, and that's why I requested this to go on there. There's only one change that I wanted to make, and that's on page 213 in our agenda. Number 3, project categories, grant parameters and eligibility, and then number 2, grant parameters. Typically, what we've always done is 85-15, and I would like to move the needle on that a little bit and change it from 85 to 80, so that way we're at least bringing 5% more back to the county. I've talked to the EDC. They feel like that's still competitive, but at the same time, it just helps us move the needle. So instead of 85-15, I wanted to change it to 80-20.
So I guess my question is, you know, when we're negotiating these deals with certain businesses, what I don't understand is why does it have to be set at a specific amount? If let's just say a business was going to get an offer from Rowan County at 50, why would we then go to 80 or even 85% to give that company an incentive to come here? I mean, at this point, they already know what they're going to get from us, so there's not really any negotiation that's going on. I just don't really feel like we're getting or even trying to get the best deal for our taxpayers when we set such a high amount for an incentive.
Well, I think the purpose and the way that this is written is it's up to the 85%, and they have the right. But my understanding is when they send this to the state, they send this policy to them, and it shows what our max is. I could be wrong, but that's my understanding. Anyone have any other information?
I think Brian's here.
Oh, is he here?
Yeah.
Perfect. The man with all the answers.
Always voted no on them in the state.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Commissioners. I won't profess to have all the answers. I have entertained these on the other side over the number of years. But basically what happens when a project comes in to the EDC, we get those from the State Economic Development Partnership or the Charlotte Regional Alliance or even locally. And they ask for a number of questions, for example, about the site, whether or not it's a greenfield that the company may be looking for, an existing building. They're asking about utilities, what kind of utilities are available. They may say they're going to bring X amount of jobs here, and ask for a lot of different information. They may or may not at that time ask for incentive information. If they do ask us for incentive information, that's when we provide the policy of the jurisdiction, the county always, obviously, or the city that may be applied for. It is a policy, and it's said at that time that it's up to the local jurisdiction how they apply that policy and when they apply that policy in terms of the amount. So we would provide whatever policy the county has provided to us at that time if they ask for incentives at that time. They may or may not ask up front whether or not we have an incentive policy.
Do they show that to the end users per se, or do they just?
If at that time they ask for what incentives that the local government may be willing to consider, they would provide those to them. A lot of them may not ask for it at that time. They may ask just for so they could just narrow down the sites in North Carolina and other states they may be looking for at that time. It may be that we do not even respond to the request for information, the RFI, because, for example, last month we received one that had 4,000 jobs, and they wanted a tremendous amount of water and sewer capacity. And our local governments were not interested, particularly, well, in all of it, because 4,000 jobs is a lot of jobs to look at one entity. So we didn't even respond to that. They may come back later if they don't ask for incentive policies and ask for it then, after they've narrowed it down to a certain amount. So again, we make it very clear that whatever policy is provided, they see in the policy that the local government boards have the ultimate authority whether or not they're granting an incentive or not, and how much that would be.
Do y'all have any internal metric that you use as far as the investment, what type of investment that helps y'all decide where to go up to the 80% or 85% or 50%?
We would work with the specific local governments that are involved, always the county, obviously, to take a look at that. So it's give and take, and it's hard. For many years, the counties and the cities had a tiered incentive. They were over 5 years. For example, if you invested a lower amount, I think before 2008, it may be at a 50% level, then 65%, and then it went up to 75% level. However, that was over a 5-year, and in doing the calculations, actually, it turned out the 85% at the time, and I'll give you the history because I was there, was actually a lower amount if you only gave for 3 years. So that was where that sort of came out. Other counties are still looking at that lower level, but giving it a longer term for that. So the competition across counties, it depends upon what their actual policy may be and how many years they're giving versus the percentage.
So we run the numbers and we trigger it if we do, let's say it was at 85, we do it 85% and we limit it to the 3 years like most
Yes.
deals are.
Yeah, that's the base policy.
I know there's a few exceptions that
Yes.
come along the way. That's worked out better than a 5-year or 10-year structured tier program.
Yeah, in most
Probably for
cases
the
it
county,
actually
saves the county.
Yeah, in most cases, you're not actually putting out as much. Once the company pays its taxes and they get that percentage back, you're not paying out as much as it may be at a lower amount over 5 years.
Now, when you use the county's, I'm just trying to find out.
Yeah.
So, when you use the county's grant, the incentive program we use at the county, you can partner it up with the different cities and towns that if they have their own incentives to kind of spread the burden.
Exactly. Once you get down to that point, that they're really to the point that they're talking about incentives, they've narrowed it down probably to 3 sites, whether it's 3 sites in North Carolina or maybe one in North Carolina, one in South Carolina, one in Georgia, because generally they're looking at the southeast. And then everybody's working together. The county and the municipality may be involved are all working together and talking about these numbers and what it's going to take and what is a fair grant policy or grant contribution at that time.
And so you've been working under 85% for the last how many years?
It's been a number of years. I heard 2008, that may have been the time when it was changed to 85%.
You don't feel it's going to be a competitive disadvantage if we go down to 80?
I think the important thing is when somebody asks for a policy, they see a policy that you're willing to consider granting at that time. When it gets down to the end, the actual numbers is when the negotiations gets a little tighter.
But anything over 80%, you would come back to us to negotiate with you, or?
Everything is pretty much.
Okay, I just want to make sure that.
The county or the municipal staffs are very much involved in those discussions at that time, and then ultimately the governing board makes that final decision.
But as of right now, how this sits, if one were to come in, according to this policy, we can go up to 85. That's why I wanted to drop it to 80, so that would be our new ceiling. We can go up to 80. And we haven't reviewed it yet, which is why I wanted if we're going to review it, I wanted to lower that ceiling a little bit, just to move the needle a little bit.
And it's just, the importance of that part of the function of the EDC is having that central contact for the state or the regional alliance to contact to get this base information that they need in terms of what sites you have available. Does it meet the qualifications of what the company is looking for in terms of ceiling heights, if it's an existing building, for example. At that time, incentives is just one portion of that information. It's when it gets down later whether or not the company is looking for incentives, if they are, those negotiations. And
The other question I have is, this was done back in 2008. I saw somewhere in that agreement, there's a $1.5 million threshold or
yes,
structure hole.
yes.
Do you think that figure's still appropriate, or do you think that figure needs to be higher because the cost and stuff, you can invest $1.5 million quickly?
That may be something that we need to set back down with the county and the municipalities and take a look at, because that 1.5 has been there for a long time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And with everything else rising, we should probably pass that, I mean, maybe raise it. I don't know. I'm just thinking maybe we can discuss that further down the road as well, and we can come back on that issue. But I'd like for y'all to look at that and see what makes sense to have the minimum threshold before we offer some kind of incentive.
Only thing, Mr. Chairman, without reducing the amount, it lowers the number of local businesses that can participate in the incentive program. And as for me, I think the $1.5 million is pretty steep. But, I know of businesses that have already done renovations, multi-million-dollar renovations. They never ask for an incentive, but they're local companies. And if we reduce the minimum, then I think that we'll be eliminating some local businesses that might want to take advantage of that program.
And I would say probably the ones that generally get into that, we don't have that many coming in from the state that are looking at a 1.5, but it would be an expansion project of a local business versus something from coming in. And I would also tell you that, with what's occurring with tariffs and the idea of bringing jobs back to the United States, that right now, I think our breakdown of the number of active projects, 58% of them are actually foreign projects of people looking to locate jobs here.
Commissioner Shelton, that's a great point. I don't want to do anything that would hurt the local businesses already here. So if moving that 1.5 would do that, I would be against doing that. So I need you to.
And it may not be practical, but we could look at maybe the
some kind of hybrid.
Lower being for expansion projects versus.
Right, a local expansion project.
Versus
we can do
bringing a new
different
industry
thing.
into the
new
county.
Business. We can have a bigger commitment before they qualify.
We
that's
could
your
think through
wheelhouse, not mine. So
yeah,
I'll lean on your advice. But I just think that's some things we need to start discussing and considering, so we can massage this agreement over time and get something that works. First of all, works for the county.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who we're here for, but also brings the business and type of business we want. But I think for now, and I don't know, Mr. Pittman, I believe you said you're a no on any economic development?
Absolutely.
So we'll have to move this to, on the agenda for new business, and we'll take up the 80-20 there on this next agenda.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we want to do any further work or just that 80-20 for the next?
Anybody can do any further work they want, but I think right now, I'd like to at least get the 80-20 in place, especially because I want him to get some businesses in here sooner than later, and I don't want it still out there at 85.
And I would say any other tweaks, we definitely would want to engage our board and also the municipalities with that. So.
That's just my thinking. Everybody else, say, but I'd rather move quicker on reducing it if we can. Okay. We may need you at the next meeting.
Okay.
We may have some more questions.
I'll be more prepared.
Sorry about that, but I appreciate what you did because it really helped me a lot.
Okay.
Next is 411, that's a proclamation. So to let y'all know what that is, I had the church reach out to me. It was Calvary Holy Church, about they had a birthday party for their pastor who was 75 years old, their bishop, and he was retiring. They had his birthday party, and they wanted to give him some kind of recognition. So I gave him a letter of recognition, but we would officially consider giving him a proclamation for his services to the community. And so we're just asking that be put on the consent agenda. All right, next is 4.12. This is Board of Commissioners, resolution amending the Board of Commissioners 2025 meeting schedule. What this is we have scheduled a summit for July 16th at 6 p.m., I believe, where we're bringing in the town leaders and their officers and stuff, so we can have some discussions and meet and try and build a relationship. I think we've done the summits in the past, but we haven't done the last one. So we want to get that back on track, and I just need to suspend the rules so we can have a motion to approve that. So if I can have a motion to suspend the rules first.
I'll make the motion to suspend the rules.
And a second? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So 5-0, it passed. All right, so this is I need a resolution to amend the board's 2005 meeting schedule to include the Cabarrus County Summit. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to do that.
Do I have a second? Second. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, it passed 5-0. Thank you all so much. All right, we will go back into our regular meeting, forget the suspension of rules, and we'll go to 4.13. All right, this is Board of Commissioners resolution amending the Board of Commissioners 2005 meeting work session. I'm sorry?
Not 2005, 2020.
Well, this is, what this is to move the, our work sessions that we have in here, and we're going to move it back to our, I don't know what exactly room you call it. I call it auxiliary.
Multi-purpose room.
But it's where we have tables where we can all sit around, work together, go through these things and truly use it as a working session. Feel like we have better conversations, better atmosphere in there just because of the setting's more relaxed for everybody. And so that would be us wanting to move these work sessions back into there. And I understand that we do have this nice, beautiful place, and we need to utilize it as well. We are thinking down the road, figuring a way we can make this a little more accommodating as well. When we figure that out and get the same atmosphere there, we may look at moving some of those meetings back in here. But that's what I have it on here for. Anybody have anything else they'd like to say about it?
I had asked for it to be moved there because it was easier for the guests that come up and do the presentations. Sometimes they're short, sometimes they're long, so to stand at that amount of time, it makes it easier. I think the conversation's better when we're all around the table. Commissioner Shue can sit at the table and join us. And from my understanding, it's possibly easier from IT, Todd, from an IT standpoint. But it does say on page 227 for the resolution, number 1 down there, it says the commissioner's meeting room. So do we need to change that to the multi-purpose room?
It's the same thing.
Same thing. Okay. So, well, that's why I'd asked for it to go back in the multi-purpose room. It just seemed easier for everybody involved. So.
Another reason too, me not being able to get up there, people think that I'm not at the meeting. I mean, I get emails telling me that I'm not there and they don't see me, and so, I mean, I don't know, you know, whether the staff ever puts the camera on me or whatever, but they say I'm missed, and so I want to be with people, but undoubtedly, you know, though mobility issues prevent me from getting up there now.
Anything else? Can we agree to move it to the consent agenda? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, next is 4.14, boards and committees, appointments. So before I begin, I just want to make sure how y'all want to really do this. I'd like to do as many of these on the consent agenda as I can. I don't know if you've had a chance to review the ones that we have and the recommendations. I would ask if you do and you have something that we think we further need to discuss, I'd say we move that to our regular meeting, and the ones that no one has any issue with, we go ahead and put those on the consent agenda.
So I'll just say that I'm not ever going to have issue with any of them as long as they haven't served more than 2 terms.
Okay.
So if somebody has not been on there for 15 years, 20 years, I'm good with them serving at least, I think 2 terms should be.
That's a great
kind
point.
of where we stand, unless there's some kind of extenuating circumstance where it has to meet certain qualifications and we don't have any other applicants that would
Right.
qualify.
We can do that. I agree with you on that because we got several here who've been on 7 terms. And I mean, that's 21 years. And I think we need to get, some new blood on some of these seats and maybe redirect those people to places that we don't have people and they can help build that. The question is I think what I've asked is to meet with the liaisons to the county on each of these different boards to get their feeling on how they choose their people, why they keep putting people over more than so many terms, whether it's for that reason, and try and get a culture established where they're not sending us people, asking us to put them up there for a 3rd, 4th, 5th term, unless there's a substantially good reason for it. I think a lot of that work can be done not by us, but by them before it gets to us. And then if there is somebody there that's coming up for a 3rd, 4th, 5th term, there better be a substantial reason why, especially if we got other applicants. So I'll be working with that and I'll report back how that goes, but I'm in agreement that we need to start limiting these terms at some point and allow everybody to participate that wants to.
Mr. Chairman, I say that's a legitimate concern, something we do need to look at. I guess we don't really have time to do a lot about it before we do these appointments now, but going forward would be a good thing to look into. And as far as putting this on a consent agenda, I look through it all, and just to be honest, the only person I know personally that's in all this is Audie Dover. The rest of them, I don't know who they are, so I wouldn't have any reason to vote against them. So, I may find a reason later, but right now I don't have any reason, so.
I will point out, I don't know him, but he
has served 7 terms.
7 terms.
21 years.
Yeah, 21 years.
So that's worth looking at. But I'd be okay with going on a consent agenda, if that's what y'all want to do with this.
I've always looked at it as that they know what they need more than us. I'm not opposed to new blood. I'm not. David Thrift is here, and that person that we just talked about is one for his. It's actually the first one up. If we want an explanation, I mean, there he is. Not to put you on the spot, David, but I know yours specifically has. Yeah, but yours specifically, I know yours it's a lot of numbers and a lot of processes, and so I don't know if
Yeah,
that's...
so the mention of Mr. Dover is on our Board of Equalization and Review. That's our Property Tax Appeals Board. They hear any concerns that come through that relate to property tax, be that the appraisal of property, exemption, exclusion, applications, issues of discovery, really complex issues about property tax that we get into, and they are responsible for hearing those things. We have members who have historically served past that 2-year appointment. We've recommended those because of their knowledge and experience in those specifics. There's a lot of statutory guidelines that have to be followed. I think that's the reason I would say there's an exception potentially you would consider for this board. I'm certainly willing to consider other ways of approaching that, but that's my reasoning for recommending someone beyond the typical 2-year term, given this particular circumstance.
And I will say that I was not as familiar with the Board of Equalization and Review, but upon doing some investigating on it, it does seem like it is, would certainly be well over my head and probably a lot of other people's heads too. I did want to ask though, normally we see the applications, and I didn't have any applications to look at.
They
with
don't
these.
come in your packet, they're normally emailed to you, but then last meeting, they didn't seem to be helpful, so I didn't send them this go-round.
Oh, they were helpful to me.
Okay, well, I will send them in the meantime.
I don't know all these people, so the only way I kind of get to know what they're able to do is looking at the applications. So that's kind of my other thing with being able to go ahead and pick some people tonight. Like I said, I'm happy to put whoever has not served 2 terms on the consent agenda for the next meeting, but not being able to even look at some of the applications for these folks. And there are a few folks on this that are requesting to be on this board. I know the names, but I don't know what their qualifications are. I do understand, though, that it does need a certain kind of specialty to be able to do this.
Right, okay. So, since we still need to look at it, are we fine just put this on the regular meeting, and then when we come in, we'll know, everybody look and see who had 2 terms, and we could probably go through them pretty quickly?
I think that was the only one that had 7, because some of the other ones had 1, a couple of them had 1 or 2 of them had 2, but a lot of them just having the 1.
Like the Library of Trustees one, we can move that to the consent agenda. That one's fine. I think the Tourism Authority, don't they kind of set their own anyway?
So we already voted on all those on that board, and there's only 1 coming off from the Speedway, and the person going on is also from the Speedway. That way the Speedway still has representation.
So we can move those to consent.
And David's got 2 more on here. One of them has only done 1 term, and
Robbie Jones hasn't done it all.
So there's
Yeah,
one
so
that
Bernard-
would be a new one, and another gentleman, Mr. Felder, has been on 2 terms. This would be his 3rd that we're requesting, so.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the only one on the equalization board.
Mr. Dover has served multiple terms, as you pointed out.
Right.
Mr. Felder has also served 2 full terms. We're requesting a 3rd, so that would
Okay.
be, that would still be an exception to your
Gotcha.
current policy.
But the alternate, that would,
Alternate is a brand new
so that could be
candidate.
moved to consent.
Okay.
Robbie Jones.
So we'll move everything to consent except for the one with board equalization.
Actually, 1 and 2.
The first 2.
Seat number 1, is that what he's in? Seat number 1?
1 and 2.
Numbers, I apologize.
Yes, seat number 2.
Seat number 2 is, yeah, and seat 1, yeah.
Seat
Right,
1 is
seat 1
Mr.
and 2.
Felder.
Okay. All right. Other than those 2, Lauren, the rest move to consent agenda?
Okay.
So that takes us all the way down to,
Thank you.
thank you. Motion to approve the regular meeting agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda for July 21st.
In favor, say aye.
May I-
We got the changes that we.
Yeah, with the changes.
I was
with the-
going to say, with the changes
With the
that we've
change, I'm
already
sorry.
noted,
With the- okay.
and to schedule the necessary public hearing for the regular meeting as well.
Okay.
With all that.
That's our motion.
Thank you.
We got a second on that one, Kenny? Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, pass 5-0. And then next, I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second? All right. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank y'all so much.